It was coming up to the time of a very special, important Jewish festival called Passover. And Jesus was having dinner with his 12 disciples in an upstairs room. Now, actually, a better word for these 12 men would be apostles, because really, you see, if we follow Jesus, we're all disciples, but these 12 were the apostles. They were the ones that Jesus had chosen to carry on with his work after he had died, although one of them didn't make a very good job of that, but we'll find out more about that another time. Anyway, they were all having dinner together in the upstairs room when Jesus did a very strange thing. He got down from the table and he got a big towel and he put it round his waist, like this. And then he got a big bowl and a jug of water, and he poured the water into the bowl. And then he began to wash his disciples' feet one at a time in the bowl of water, and then drying them with the towel that was wrapped around his waist. Now, actually, in those days, it was quite common to wash your feet when you came to somebody's house, because in those days, they didn't have nice roads and paths like we do with tarmac or concrete. They had dry, dusty paths, and then, of course, when it rained, they had muddy roads and paths. So sometimes they would arrive at somebody's house with very dirty feet. So it was quite normal to wash your feet when you got to somebody's house, because it would be rather impolite to sit there with dirty feet. But you see, it wasn't a very nice job to do. I mean, imagine washing somebody else's smelly, yucky old feet. So in a posh house with servants, this would be the job of the lowest servant of all, to wash the feet. So what Jesus was doing was actually the job of the lowest servant in the house. So I'm sure that the 12 apostles thought that this was a very strange thing for Jesus to be doing. But you know, he's Jesus, so they just trusted him and they let him do it. All except for Peter. When it became Peter's turn, he said to Jesus, "I'm not letting you, Jesus, the Son of God, wash my feet. No way." "Well, Peter," said Jesus, "I'm afraid that if you don't let me wash your feet, you can't be part of my work here." Well, that sorted Peter out. "Well, if it's like that," he said, "wash my feet. Jesus, wash my feet." In fact, he was so desperate to be part of Jesus's work that he said, "Wash my hands and my head as well." "No, no, no," said Jesus, "just your feet will be fine." So Jesus did wash Peter's feet. Now, when he'd finished, he took off the towel and he went back to the table. And he wanted to make sure that they understood why he had done such a strange thing. And he said to them, "I've washed your feet to show you that I have come to serve you, because I love you. And in the future, I want you to wash each other's feet, because you love each other. And what better way of showing that you love each other than by serving each other?" And then Jesus said something very sad indeed. He said, "One of you is going to betray me." You see, Jesus knew, because he's God, that one of his friends had already done a deal and been paid 30 silver coins to have Jesus arrested and handed over to the Jewish leaders. How very, Very sad was that. And well, did you see the apostles? They were all very upset, and they were saying to each other, "It's not me, is it? I'm not going to be the one, am I? I don't want to be the one that betrays him." And then John said to Peter, "Ask him who it is." So Peter whispered to Jesus, "Lord, who is it? Who's going to betray you? It's not me, is it?" And Jesus said, "It's the one to whom I give this piece of bread when I've dipped it into the dish." And then he took a piece of bread from the loaf on the table, and he dipped it into the dish of wine, and he gave it to Judas Iscariot. And then he spoke to Judas, and he said, "The thing that you are going to do, do it quickly." And Judas got up from the table and slipped out of the door. And we'll find out more about what he did next time. Well, then Jesus did another strange thing. Knowing he was going to die soon, he took some of the bread and he gave thanks to God, and he gave some to each of his disciples or apostles, and he said, "Take this and eat it. This is my body," or really it represents my body. "Remember that my body was given for you." And then he did another strange thing. He took the cup and he passed it round to each of the disciples. And he said, "This cup is my blood," or it represents my blood. "Drink this and remember that my blood was shed for you." You see, Jesus knew that he was going to die very soon, and he didn't want to, and he was very scared. But he did it because he's God and because he loves us, and he came to serve us. That was what he was showing when he washed the apostles' feet. But Jesus didn't have to die. He chose to do it because he loves us that much. You see, when Jesus died on the cross, it was a punishment. Not a punishment for anything that Jesus had done wrong, because he didn't do anything wrong. It was the punishment for all the things that we do wrong. Jesus took the punishment for us so that we don't have to. And that's how we know that God forgives us for our sins. Jesus has already taken the punishment for us. Jesus didn't just serve his followers by washing their feet. The biggest way he serves all of us is by dying on the cross. But we'll find out more about that in the next couple of weeks. So when you see people taking the bread and the wine at church, that's what we call communion. And we're doing it to remember that Jesus died for our sins, and we're promising to follow him. And that might be something that you want to do too. But now we're going to do our craft to help us to remember the story and to help us to tell it to other people.